What's up everybody, it's Carl, aka Carl Drum Tech, and today let's talk about the concept of going on autopilot. Cue the music. Alright, if you guys are finding me for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the red button down below that says subscribe. That way you are notified anytime I put out a new video in regards to marching arts, marching bands, drum lines, into percussion, drum corps, all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single upload. And also make sure that notification bell is ringing. That way for sure you'll be notified anytime I put out a new video. So subscribe, make sure that notification bell is ringing, and let's get to the video. Okay, so I wanted to show you my private lesson studio, aka the garage. I just kind of want to give you like a behind the scenes as far as like, you know, how I teach my lessons and stuff like that. Mainly online private lessons, right? So I got my chair over here, so I sit down over here. I got my Beetle Percussion bus pad that just conveniently goes on my lap right here. I got my sticks, and lately I've been using these Vic Firth Ralph Hardiman hammers, super heavy. I don't know why I've been using these, but it's new, it's interesting. They're super heavy. Anyways, and then all I need is basically my laptop over here, my little MacBook Air. And then that's it. So, you know, so I got my, you know, students coming in from Skype or Google Hangouts or FaceTime through Apple, and we just, you know, we do it right here. It's just like, you know, but the students here in the garage, or, you know, if the student is in their living room or bedroom, whatever, like it's like I'm there, you know, teaching them lessons. So super convenient. This isn't a sales pitch in any way, but I just kind of want to give you guys a behind the scenes as far as like, you know, how I teach my lessons. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that is because during one of the lessons, it got me to think about a concept called going on autopilot. Right, so I have a student where, you know, he was learning, you know, a part for a parade, right? So the parade piece, and you know, he talked about how he wanted to learn that as soon as possible, so he can just basically go on autopilot, so that he can focus more on the drill, you know, like not drill, but like, you know, making sure he's in line, you know, with the block formation, right? You know, your straight lines, your diagonal lines, you know, your you know, lines like that are right next to you, right? So you want to focus on those things, and you are more free to focus on those things when you have the music learned and memorized already, right? So I think it's a very interesting concept, and going on autopilot is good for many different reasons, and it's also bad in some ways. So I just want to talk about the times where it's okay to go on autopilot and the times where it's not okay to go on autopilot, okay? Let's talk about the times where it's not okay to go on autopilot, right? So that means just you're not thinking, you're just letting your hands move, right? Like you're not focusing on what you're doing as much. You're just literally going on autopilot. And the times where it's bad is like, for example, when a student is learning something for the first time and they think they got it, and then they're just going to go on autopilot and they make all these mistakes because their hands just aren't, you know, ready for that yet. They're not ready for that autopilot mode, so they make all kinds of mistakes because, you know, they just they don't have it yet, right? And how do you know when you have it? Is like, let's say maybe you can play something 10 times in a row without any mistakes. At that point, maybe you can start going on autopilot, right? And if all you do is play, you sit there and play, right? Like in some respects, you don't really want to go on autopilot. You want to make sure you have the best performance possible. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on everything that you're doing, every single note that you're playing, every single dynamic. You're focusing on your heights, all that good stuff, right? So you're focusing all the time. So there's really no room to go on autopilot in those instances. Now, when it's okay to go on autopilot, let's talk about that same example, right? You're playing, you're sitting there and you're playing. Sometimes, you know, the thing that makes what we do so hard is because all these simultaneous responsibilities that we have to do, all these simultaneous multitasking that we have to do, and there's only so much RAM in our brain to focus on several different things at the same time and do it at a high level. Now, a lot of females will probably say like, oh, I'm really good at multitasking. Anyways, that's a separate subject. But, you know, for the most part, you know, as us humans, we only have so much RAM. Now, we can probably upgrade it a little bit by practicing how to, you know, multitask and focus on several different things at once. But at the same time, like, you know, there's still going to be a cap limit in terms of like, you know, how much we can focus on several things at the same time. And that involves that includes music, right? That includes performing, playing music, and doing it at a high level, right? So some of the people that you see, in those high level groups, drum corps and all that stuff, like they're really good at multitasking and focusing on several different things at once so that they can execute at a high level. When they're marching, when they're playing, when they're doing all that stuff all at the same time, they do it at a high level and they're focusing on everything at the same time. That's a skill set that is developed, and yeah, like I said, it's probably like your RAM being able to upgrade itself to be able to do that at a high level. Now, again, like I said, there's going to be a limit, right? So there's points where it's like, if you're focusing on, let's say, your drill in that moment, you probably can't focus on your music as much, right? So it is okay in that instance, or it's good for you to go on autopilot with the music if you choose to really focus on a certain drill move, right? Or let's say, like a drill move is really easy. It's really okay to go on autopilot on that particular drill move if, let's say, the music is a little bit harder at that point. Then it's okay to go on autopilot on your marching and then really focus on your playing. Does that make sense, right? So it's like there's times where it's okay to go on autopilot. And then in the example of my student, right, he wants to be able to go on autopilot in playing the music because he wants to focus more on the drill and stuff like that. And that's okay, right? I think it's not okay if you do it all the time or you completely go on autopilot. You definitely want to check in on time to time, make sure you're executing the music at a high level, and not just completely turn it off, not just completely go on autopilot. I mean, at the same time, when you go on autopilot on a plane, I mean, once in a while, or let's say a Tesla's can now go on autopilot. You don't want to just completely let the machine, just do its thing. I mean, once in a while, you want to check and make sure that you're going on the right flight path, you're on the right lane. For the most part, the technology is good nowadays, but at the same time, you just don't want to completely fall asleep because just in terms of like just to be sure, right? So you want to check in on time from time to time, okay, on your autopilot and make sure it's doing the right thing. So the same thing with playing music, right? Check in from time to time. Focus on things, from time to time, and then, just selectively choose when you think it would be advantageous to you to use your autopilot. Now, the autopilot cannot happen, all right, if you don't have your music memorized, if you don't have your drill memorized, right? You got to make sure that you have stuff down first. Like I said, like you should be able to play something 10 times in a row, no mistakes. And then at that point, you can start thinking about maybe you can go on autopilot on those parts or those rhythms that you're playing. Does that make sense, right? So that's the concept of going on autopilot, right? Or relying on your muscle memory, right? It's like I know the muscles don't have a brain, but they kind of tend to remember how to do certain things, how to do certain motions if they do it enough times. That's what we call like muscle memory, right? So in those instances, it's okay to not focus on what you're doing so you can focus on other things because, like I said, because of that RAM capacity, we only have a limit. There's only so much we can do in terms of like simultaneous responsibility, simultaneous focus. So it's okay to go on autopilot on certain things to be able to focus on other things. Does that make sense, right? So that's the concept of autopilot, going on autopilot. Hopefully this was interesting and helpful to you. Like I said, make sure that when you're learning something, don't go on autopilot if you don't have it down yet, all right? I've seen a lot of students do this. They rely on muscle memory that isn't quite there yet, all right? So make sure that you have something down first before you turn on the autopilot. Okay, so cool. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully, like I said, this was interesting and informative for you. If you did, do me a huge favor, hit that like button down below. If you have any questions or comments, like to add to the conversation, make sure to leave that in the comments below as well. If you feel like this video could help somebody else out, make sure you share this video with them, share it on your social media so that they can see it as well. And if you have not subscribed yet, after I told you to subscribe, make sure you subscribe right now. Do it so you can see more videos like this. 2020 is gonna be a huge year. I want to step up my game in terms of the video content, the stuff that the topics that I put out there, the way I present them. I want to step all of that up because I want it to be big. I want 2020 to be big. You should have the same resolution as well, as far as making 2020 the year, all right, for you to make some strides in your drumming and your marching, and just have that be a thing where later on down the road you go, wow, 2020 was a turning point for me. I really stepped it up. It just changed my life. You want to be able to say all those things. So 2020 just started. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's all be successful. Okay, so and then yeah, follow along and watch me. Like I said, I hope to do some really big things in 2020. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single upload on this channel. All right, cool, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, and you should totally watch more of my videos by clicking over here and then subscribing over here. Peace. Catch you guys on the next video. Boom.